Welcome back, everyone. Houston Math Prep here. We want to start providing some shortcuts for line integrals for you so that maybe you don't have to work out necessarily the entire line integral by parameterizing your curve and doing the entire process every time. So remember that the gradient for a scalar function, some function of x and y, del f, is the partial derivative with respect to x, comma, the partial derivative with respect to y, right? We have a vector made up of those components. If we want to talk about a vector field, that is a gradient field. So in other words, I have some vector field with components m and n, so m comma n in my vector field. We say that this is a gradient field if my m is partial fx for some function and my n is partial fy for some function. If we can find some function where that's true, then my vector field here is called a gradient field. And the scalar function here, my f of xy, is actually called the potential function. We'll make a note here that in physics, they consider potential to be the opposite sign of how we calculate it here in math, but it's basically the same thing. So how can we know if some vector field f is a gradient field, right? Well, we know that the m component of the field needs to be a partial fx, and the n component needs to be partial fy. And remember, what's true of most well-behaved functions is that their mixed partial second derivatives, fxy and fyx, should be equal. We assume that these are continuous and that the region is simply connected. Now remember, another way to think of these fxy and fyx would be the partial derivative with respect to x, then taken with respect to y. And this one over here is really the partial derivative with respect to y, then taken with respect to x, right? But now this fx we know, and fy should be m and n, right? So the way that we'll check if something is a gradient field is we'll check and see, is the partial derivative of m with respect to y the same as what we get when we take the partial derivative of n with respect to x. Let's do a couple of examples to figure out if these vector fields I've written here are gradient fields. So this one, I have the vector field x e to the xy, comma y e to the xy. I want to figure out if these are gradient fields. So remember, we'll be checking, is the partial derivative of m with respect to y the same as the partial derivative of n with respect to x? So for this one here, my m is x e to the xy, and my n is y e to the xy. So the question is, what is the partial derivative of m with respect to y? If I take the partial derivative of x e to the xy with respect to y, remember that x is a constant, so I get a constant multiple here that would come out from the chain rule, and I would get that this partial derivative is x squared e to the xy. If I look at the partial derivative of n with respect to x, so now looking at y e to the xy, treating x as a variable and y as a constant, so I have a constant multiple here and also a constant multiple inside the exponential. When I take the derivative with respect to x, the chain rule is going to get me a y that comes out, and so I actually get y squared e to the xy. Now, since these are not the same, then we would say that this is not a gradient field, right? So not a gradient field. Let's look at the other one. Here I have my vector field 3x squared plus 3y squared, comma 6xy. So in this case, this is my m, and this is my n. So I want to first figure out what is partial y. So if I take the derivative of m with respect to y, this first term here with respect to y is just a constant, so its derivative is 0, and the derivative of this with respect to y is going to be 6y. If I look at n here, 6xy, and I take the derivative with respect to x, then this x drops off and I get 6y, and these are now the same. So since these are the same, they're equal to each other, then that means this is a gradient field. And we say, that's great, so I can figure out when one's a gradient field and when one's not a gradient field, but how does that help me do anything else? Well, the big question then would be, if we know something's a gradient field, it must have a potential function, so how do we find its potential function? Well, let's think about what we really have. If f is a gradient field, so that means m is really some partial fx and n is really some partial fy, what we would need to do is undo the process that takes us to partial fx and partial fy. How would I undo getting the partial derivative with respect to x and undo the process of getting the partial derivative with respect to y? Well, I would just simply do the antiderivative of those things with respect to the correct variable. So I'm going to take m and integrate with respect to x. I'm going to take n and integrate with respect to y, and that will give me my potential function. Now, one beware here, once we get these, what we'll do is we will actually combine all the unique terms that we get from these to find the potential function. So let's go back to our last example. We found that this f right here was a gradient field. We just did that in our last example. And so if this is a gradient field, then it should have a potential function that we can find, right? Remember, this is my m, and this is my n, and this is supposed to be some partial fx. So what I need to do is integrate this dx. So we'll go ahead and integrate m dx, and look at what terms we get from that. So that's going to be the integral of 3x squared plus 3y squared, integrating with respect to x, remember. Okay, so if I integrate that first term, I will get x cubed over 3, reducing the 3 there, so I would just get x cubed. Plus, this is all a constant, so if I integrate with respect to x, I would just get this constant times x, so that would be 3xy squared. Plus some constant. We'll go ahead and make a note here that we could have our constant depending on y. It's possible, but we're just going to go ahead and note the non-constant terms here. Let's also now go back and integrate our n. Now we're integrating n. Remember, this is partial fy here, supposedly, if this is a gradient field. So we'll need to take the antiderivative with respect to y. So the antiderivative of n with respect to y is going to be the integral of 6xy dy now. We integrate this with respect to y, we would get a y squared over 2 here with this constant still in the front. The over 2 is going to reduce the 6, so I will get 3xy squared, possibly plus some constant. That constant could also depend on x because we've integrated dy here. Now, ignoring these constant terms here, what is my potential function? Well, my potential function is all of the unique terms that I have. So if you look at this list here, and this list here, and we write down all of the unique terms that we have there, then our f of xy, our potential function, is going to be, I need the x cubed, and I need 3xy squared. Once I've written down 3xy squared, though, if I've written it from here, then I don't need to write it again from there. I've already written it in there, and that's our potential function for this gradient field here. What you'll notice is, I won't show the detail here, but you'll notice if you included this term again and wrote another plus 3xy squared, you'd be able to combine those. Try taking the partial derivatives there and see if you get this. You actually don't end up getting the correct components for your vector if you include another copy of this here. So remember, we want to just include all unique terms that we get from these antiderivatives here. Let's do another example here. We want to figure out if the vector field y cosine x minus 2x cosine y, comma sine x plus x squared sine y is a gradient field. And if it's a gradient field, then we'll find its potential function. Okay, so this is my m here, and this is my n. So first thing to check, is f a gradient field? So remember, we want to check, is partial derivative of m with respect to y equal to the partial derivative of n with respect to x. So if I figure out what is m, y first, so derivative with respect to y of the first term, the y would drop off, we would just get cosine of x. And if we do the derivative with respect to y of the second term, so we have negative 2x just being a constant out front, the derivative of cosine y is negative sine y, so that's going to change my negative to a positive here, so I would get plus 2x sine y. And now let's check partial derivative of n with respect to x. So if I take the derivative of sine x with respect to x, that would give me cosine x. We look good so far, don't we? And then the derivative of this with respect to x, the x squared would become a 2x, and the sine y stays as a constant multiple. So we get 2x sine y here as well. And so since these are equal to one another, then we know that yes, this is a gradient field. If it's a gradient field, we should be able to find its potential functions. Remember, what we do is we integrate m dx, and we'll integrate n dy. And we'll write down any unique terms that we get. So if I integrate m dx, so treating x as a variable here, if I take the antiderivative, this cosine would become a sine x, and the y multiple would stay. So I would get y times sine x. Antiderivative with respect to x here, this 2x would become an x squared, and we would keep the minus cosine y, so we would say minus x squared cosine y, possibly plus some c, right? That could also depend on y. Let's do the antiderivative of n dy. So if I integrate sine x with respect to y, this is just a constant, so if I integrate, I get y times that constant. And if I take the antiderivative of this with respect to y, then my sine y becomes a minus cosine y, so I get minus x squared cosine y plus c. Now you can see that all of my terms overlap here, right? So when I say, f of xy needs to include this term y sine x, well, once I've written it down from here, I've also written it down from here. And it needs to include negative x squared cosine y. Once I've written that from this one, I've also written it from this one as well. So they overlap exactly, right? So we don't have sort of one term coming from just one of them. We actually get both terms coming from both of them. But those are the unique terms. That's our potential function there. So for a vector field in 3D space, in R3, to be a gradient of some function of 3 variables, we need the m component to be a partial fx, we need the n component to be a partial fy, we also need the additional p component in 3 space to be a partial fz. Now let's think about what is true with mixed partials if I have an m, an n, and a p. So the mixed partials, if I have x, y, and z, would mean that fxy equals fyx, fyz should equal fzy, and fzx equals fxz, as long as we assume all of these derivatives are nice and well behaved, right? So now think about what each of these say, right? So I have partial fx and then derivative with respect to y, partial fy and then derivative with respect to x, and I do a similar thing with yz and zy and xz and zx. And then if I think about subbing out all of these things in parentheses for m's and n's and p's, then we get these 3 statements that must be true in 3-dimensional space for something to be a gradient field. So partial my should equal partial nx. This is the same statement as in 2D space, but now we have these additional ones, right? So partial nz must equal partial py, and partial mz must equal partial px. So you can see here that we actually have 3 things to check if we want to make sure that something is a gradient field in 3-dimensional space. All right, so let's walk you through a couple of examples in 3D space. So is this vector field a gradient field? If it is, we want to find its potential function. Okay, so I have m being x squared yz, n is xy squared z, and p is x squared yz squared. So we'll first check what we did in 2D space. Is partial my equal to partial nx? So my, if I take the derivative of this with respect to y, I would get x squared times z. And if I take the derivative of n with respect to x, then the x is going to drop off here and I get y squared z. Now right away I can see that these are not equal. It only takes one of these, not checking, for this to not be a gradient field. So since one of them already failed, we know that this is not a gradient field. And we don't need to continue to check for the other things to be equal. Okay, so we have our answer there. We don't need to check for a potential function because it's not a gradient field. Let's look at another example here. F is y plus z, comma x plus z, comma x plus y. We want to figure out if that is a gradient field. If so, we'll find its potential function. Let's start with checking our my equals nx and see if that's true. So here's m, and here's n, and here's p. And my, partial my, is going to be the derivative with respect to y of this is 1. And if I look at the partial derivative of n with respect to x, that's also going to be 1. So those are the same, and that's good. But now remember, I also need partial nz to equal partial py, right? So we need to check that. So is nz equal to py? Well, nz would be 1. And partial py, derivative of x plus y with respect to y, would also be 1. So these are the same as each other as well, so that's good. They don't have to be the same as these. These two just need to be equal, and these just need to be equal separately. They just happen to be the same thing, so that's nice, I guess. The last thing we need to check, we have m and n compared. We have n and p compared, so the last one we compare is m and p. So we want partial mz equal partial px. And so we look at those. Partial mz, so derivative of m with respect to z, that's going to be 1 again, isn't it? And then the derivative of p with respect to x, that's going to give us 1 also, right? So this pair matches as well. We have all three pairs matching, and so that means, yes, this is a gradient field. It is indeed. Now, how will I find my potential function? The answer is I will simply integrate all of these with respect to the proper variable. So I need to integrate m dx. It's in the x position, so this should be partial fx, right? So we integrate dx. Integrating this with respect to x is going to give us xy plus xz plus some constants possibly, right? Integral of n with respect to y, because this should be partial fy if it's a gradient field, then I get xy plus yz plus some constants possibly. And then last here, integral of p dz, because this should be a partial fz, so integrate with respect to z, and here we would get xz plus yz. Now if we combine all of the unique terms that we have from these, so my function, my potential function of 3 variables now, I need xy, that's a term, of course, so anywhere I have xy, I can say I've already marked that off. Xz needs to be in there as well, so xz. So that one's there. Here's another xz, so we don't include that one. And the only thing left, it looks like, is yz, so plus yz, and that takes care of those. All unique terms are included. This is our potential function for this gradient vector field here. Okay, everyone, hopefully this gives you an idea of how to figure out if something is a gradient field, and if so, find its potential function. Connected onto this and what is really important about gradient fields and how they provide us lots of shortcuts for line integrals. We are going to find that out in the next video on conservativeness and path independence. Check us out in that video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.